Good evening, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get this meeting started. It is 6:02. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our next item. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No, Mayor.
We have approval from council. Motion.
A motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez,
Aye.
Mayor Horn,
Aye.
Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Councilman Schindler,
Aye.
Councilman Vosberg.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item, number 2, awards, presentations, appointments, or proclamations. We don't have any this evening, so we'll move on to item number 3, citizens' comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the city council on any item within the jurisdiction of the council. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern, identify themselves, and use the microphone. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes in accordance with state open meeting laws. No actions will be taken by the city council this evening, and all items will be referred to staff for follow-up and a report. Citizens' comments submitted in writing to the city clerk by 5 p.m. on the day of the city council meeting shall be distributed to the city council and included into the record. However, they will not be read. Would anybody like to speak?
Hi, I'm Hilda Crawford, and I'm representing the Kalinga District Library. Just to emphasize and to repeat myself from the last meeting, we will be having a fall festival at the library on Sunday, September 17th, from 11 to 5. We had it on September 3rd, this past 2 weeks, 2 Sundays ago, and it went really well, and I'm hoping that we can get more people this on the 17th. We're going to have a DJ. We're going to have a group of African drummers. If anybody went to our summer reading program, we had them there. They're from Fresno. And then, we're going to have the police canine unit boss. He'll be there doing the demonstration. And then we'll have the fire department. We're going to have the cheerleaders. Hopefully they'll be there as well. So, I think that, yes. And so anyhow, if you know of any vendors, anybody that does food vendors, crafting, anything like that, you're more than welcome to come by the library and pick up an application. And we'd like to see you there. We'd like you to be there to support our library. We're in partnering with the chamber. And by partnering with the chamber, Scott's been really good, and it's helped us get more people coming into our event. So again, it's on Sunday, September 17th from 11 to 5 p.m. on the plaza. And again, if you're not after church, you can come in and get something good to eat, listen to some music, support the local vendors. So anyway, thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see everybody there. I know it's a Sunday, but it's not Labor Day weekend. It's just the regular Sunday. So after church, and even if you don't go to church, come on by. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Scott?
Evening, Council. Scott Netherton, 424 College. I'd like to ask all or one of you to possibly bring a future agenda item that would allow people, citizens that come and sit here, the opportunity to ask questions other than right now. I mean, this is a comment where we're able to comment on what we see in the agenda. But like last time when Mr. Bergman was here, I have my iPad so I can click on the attachments and read it, but a lot of the charts he was doing, some of it didn't add up to me, yet I couldn't ask a 30-second question because it's not allowed during that time unless I fill out a card. Well, I don't know I have a question because even looking at the report, those charts he showed weren't in the reports. So I don't know I have a question until he gets up there and starts explaining stuff. So I just, I'm just using that as an example, but there are several times where, something comes up during the meeting where, we might have a question and we'd like to be able to raise our hand. And again, this is a 3-minute where you have to make comments and address the council, but during the meeting later on, any questions we may have, we're talking 15, 20-second quick question. Maybe even if you limit it to 1 or 2, so I understand people don't want to be here till 8 or 9 o'clock at night, but you can see we don't usually get that many people in the audience, so it wouldn't be that many questions, but I feel those that do take the time to come should be allowed to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Council? No? Okay, we'll go ahead and close citizens' comments. We'll move on to public hearings. We have none. Item number 5, the consent calendar. We have 15 items. What would council like to do? You guys, are there any items you need pulled? Everything's good? We have a motion to approve?
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Councilman Schindler,
Aye.
Mayor Horn,
Aye.
Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Councilman Vosberg,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, ordinance, presentation, discussion, and potential action items. We have 3 items this evening. First one is discussion, direction, and potential action regarding the authorization to upgrade the access control systems at the police department, water treatment plant, and public works yard. Commander.
Good evening, council. So staff is requesting to, like the mayor said, upgrade the access control system at the water plant, public works yard, and the police department. Back in 2016, we actually did an upgrade to the access control system for the fire department, police department, and city hall. Unfortunately, since then, the police department's been having issues with its system as far as controlling doors, getting us locked out and everything, and just not working properly. So we were seeking approval to upgrade our system. With that upgrade, it will include, like I said, public works and the water plant. The purpose of the upgrade is to get everybody on the same system. And we understand budget's already passed, but with the issues we've been having at the police department, we feel now is the time to get our system upgraded. Water treatment plant and public works yard have funding, so they are on board with their upgrade as well. We're hoping fire and city hall will be right behind that with next budget year. Our current IT folks, AOS, have a system in place that's already working with Corcoran that they want to install here at our building. It'll allow all 3 locations to be under one control, one system, one access card. Where are we at here? So, sorry, I lost my place. With the upgrade, it'll also help improve security at water treatment plant and public works, and Sean kind of attested a little bit further to that as to the need for that. It'll help us at the police department gain entry to those locations a lot quicker for security checks, especially with the recent break-ins at the water plant, to get us out there quicker, hopefully prevent more of that. The cost of the system, so at the police department, it's going to run us right about just over $42,000. Luckily, we have money on the COPS grant, so it'll be a zero-cost item to the budget. Do you want to talk about the cost for the other 2?
Yeah, and then at the Public Works Yard, the estimate, the cost is roughly 24,000. That's going to be distributed, basically broken up between water distribution, sewer collection, and the gas enterprise, similar to a lot of expenses that occur in the Public Works Department. And then at the water plant, that'll come out of the water plant operations budget, which we're relatively confident we can stay within the overall budget of the water fund. The water fund's relatively healthy right now in terms of revenues coming in, so the additional 30,000 is not going to have a direct impact. We have some other projects that are planned under that similar budget item, but we have enough to be able to secure it now. And it's definitely important, as Sean mentioned, especially at the water plant, making sure that our guys have access, because right now we're unable to make additional cards. It's very difficult to try and make sure that our guys can get in when needed. And so we want to make sure that as we try to get everyone on the same system, this would be an opportunity to take advantage of it now and us go ahead and move forward with it rather than wait till next year, but with the fire and City Hall looking to next budget year.
Okay, I have a question then. What's the total cost that is needed right now? And I see there's a 1-year service plan, a 3-year, a 5-year, and a 10-year.
So the cost, I think we built in, we talked to the three-year service plan is what's built into this cost.
Okay.
So those are one of the options that are on each one. We wanted to keep it the same across everyone, so it'll be a 3-year service plan for at least these 3 facilities. And then once admin and fire department go, most likely choose the three-year service plan that will go for that 3-year period for those facilities.
Okay. From the sheet that I have on here, it's just showing a total that's being asked for $26,950, is that correct?
Which one are you looking, because there's 3 different quotes. Because there's
I got the labor,
top, which one, which location? Public Works,
Yeah,
water
let me-
plant, or police department?
this one should be police
That's for the
department
police
here.
department. Then you have one for each one for Public Works.
Yeah. Okay, so and then another,
Yeah, the water plant will be just over 30,000, public work yard just over 24,000, and the police department just over 42,000.
Yeah, and it's not just the quotes, so there is some electrical work that needs to get done in terms of the wiring, so that's why you have quotes from the electrical contractor as well to provide those services at each of those locations as well.
and a good portion of this is already covered then, huh? With the other funds? It's pretty much covered if we.
Yeah, we're not expecting any major impacts by moving forward with these at this time. We've been waiting, we know that this has been coming up, this has been an issue for a while with the access control. And so, getting on all on the same system, we'll eventually get there by next year, hopefully.
Let's see, the total,
So I have a question.
figure out all the numbers. Good.
Yeah.
What's the residual cost after the 3 years? How much per year will it be total? And then if we added, just thinking ahead of time, if we added the city and, the fire department into there as well, what can we look at a yearly rate for access control?
That's going to depend on inflation at the time. We're only basically speculated out to about 3 years. It shouldn't be too much different, but I
But
can
like,
find
how
out.
much per year? I mean, for access, are we looking at?
Just whatever the service contract is after that. I'd
So
have to
the
ask
three, so the 3-year service contract broken up into, if you divide that by 3, that should be the annual cost.
Okay, so
So roughly.
what is that?
Let's see. 25, right? Just the 3-year.
Yeah, there's different prices.
Oh, yeah, so if you look at it, the 1 year is $2,400. So $2,400,
2,400?
yeah.
Okay, for
Yeah.
total?
Yeah, so you get it basically a deal. If you go with like, say, a 10-year support service agreement, it's $22,000. So if you go with a 1 year, it's $2,400.
57, yeah.
So not a huge savings, but kind
Okay.
of gives you an idea of what that annual service contract's gonna cost you.
Well, I know that just any fees that we do, I know a lot of times, I'll just keep bringing this up, anytime that we say, hey, it's, we have a healthy water fund, or we have a healthy sewer fund, but every time that we add expenses to those funds, then 2 years later, we come back and we say, hey, we need to raise rates, and maintenance fees and things like that are always included in that, and so I just want the public to know that this is one of those things. It's absolutely important. We need to do it. I'm in favor of it, but just pointing it out that, you know, it's not like money we have, just in general. It has to come from somewhere.
And it's something that can be absorbed annually. That annual service contract
Okay.
can be absorbed
All right.
relatively easy within the budget.
Okay. You guys have any more questions? What would council like to do?
Move forward. I think it's very important.
So we need,
I'll make a motion that we approve, what's the item? 6.1,
as read.
as read.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Vosberg,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Councilman Schindler,
Aye.
Mayor Horn.
And I vote aye. Thank you. And we move on to item number 2, discussion, direction, and potential action to adopt resolution number 4177 and resolution number 4178 related to support and implementation of timely use of funding as required by AB 1012 for candidate Federal Transportation Act Cycle 3 projects for congestion mitigation air quality grant program, CMAQ, Surface Transportation Block Grant Program, STBG, and a new carbon reduction grant program. Sean.
Thank you, and I'll be brief with this. At the previous meeting, staff brought back authorization to move forward with grant applications under the CMAQ, STPG, and the new carbon reduction grant program. We went over the scopes of each project, the rough estimate amount of money that was going to be requested under each program. And this is essentially just the next step in terms of getting authorization on timely use of funding. It's required resolution as part of the federal applications, basically saying that we're going to pay our intended matching funds for these projects. And so once these are approved, they're incorporated into the grant applications, which are going to be submitted next week for under the CMAQ program. The STPG program is going to be going out probably sometime in October. And it just kind of reiterates the projects. There was some scope change, and that's why I wanted to kind of bring this up. There was a little scope change on the CMAQ application related to the trails. We found that the previous segments, the cost was really way too high for the kind of the sweet spot number we usually apply for. And so we essentially simplified the project, and we'll be doing segment 6, which is essentially kind of near where Gregory is. We have that segment where the new bridge is going to go. That segment, it ties in there and goes all along the Los Gatos, or actually Worthing Creek corridor, all the way to Polk Street. So you just can imagine it kind of staying along that creek corridor, and then it'll terminate at Polk Street. When you apply for especially trails projects, they have to have what they call a terminus, which is like a terminating area. It can't just stop in the middle of nowhere. So Polk Street was the most logical ending point, and it got us a really good scope in terms of the cost for that project, in terms of the ask for that particular project. The other two will stay the same, which is the Surface Transportation Grant, which is California from Washington to Cambridge, a full reconstruction of that road. And then the Carbon Reduction Grant Program is basically converting all the city-owned streetlights that are currently like a high-pressure sodium to LEDs, as well as the decoratives on Elm Avenue. Some of those are PG&E owned, but we have had conversations with PG&E where we can receive grant funds and in turn pay the cost to PG&E for those conversions and avoiding any of these incremental costs that are associated with going to LED. And then also part of that is modernizing the signalized intersection at Polk and Forest, which is the only intersection we own. All the other ones are Caltrans owned. But this one, we've had issues with the lights. If you've noticed, some of them go out. They go out again after we fix it. And so it'll do a more modernization of the push buttons at the crosswalks and some of the other key technological improvements, which really falls under this new carbon reduction grant program. It's a new program. It's pulled, there's a small amount of money pulled out of the CMAQ program. So hopefully, we figured we want to take a shot and put out a project, and if we can convert all of our lights to LEDs, that would be huge in terms of savings too, long-term in terms of the cost for our street lights as well. So other than that, that's the gist of the projects, but then we're just requesting approval of the resolutions.
Yeah, I know I seen Caltrans yesterday morning and yesterday evening, two different vehicles, two different people doing the actual testing on that whole intersection, watching the lights, everything, because everything's been out of time. It's been a lot better now, but they're still working on it. And the last two meetings that I went to over in Fresno and met with District 6 Caltrans, they're well aware of it, and they're trying to do everything they can before they have to just replace it.
Yeah, we got confirmation that that signal was fixed. There was an issue with that turn. I know that you've contacted me about it. I got another call last week about it at one of the turn signals. And so we reached out. And Caltrans has been out there. We've been in contact with them. So we've got a good contact. They're pretty responsive to correct those when it becomes an issue out there. So if there is any issues, please let us know, and then we can definitely reach out.
Any other questions? Does anybody want to make a motion, or?
I'll make a motion that we approve item number 6.2 as read.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Vosberg,
Aye.
Councilman Schindler,
Aye.
Councilman Hedgecock,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramirez,
Aye.
Mayor Horn.
And I vote aye. Okay, we'll move on to our next item, item number 6.3, discussion and direction regarding signage for home businesses. Sean?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This was a future agenda item requested by Councilman Schindler, so I'll give him the floor.
Yeah, I was just wanting to bring this up for discussion, what the current ordinances are, and then any possibilities for changes if needed.
So the current sign ordinance for like home businesses is basically a 2 square foot nameplate of the business. I think it talks about the business name, address. And so that's pretty much what's permitted for residential areas, which would be directly tied to a home occupation primarily. Other than that, there's not really typically any other signage permitted in residential districts. So that's pretty much what the code says in terms of residential signage.
Yeah, is this consistent with other cities?
It's pretty
much?
consistent, yeah. You don't really want to start opening up a lot of sign regulations. You start getting bigger, and then you have to start requiring permits and design review. We don't even require permits for the home business ones because it's only 2 square feet as long as they meet the criteria. So you don't typically run into like mounting issues or installation issues where they require a building permit and those types of things. And also to add to that is a home occupation is really geared to create a business environment for someone, but not really have a direct impact or really know that you're there, right? So it's supposed to be really compatible with the neighborhood or with that residential use. So typically you don't really want to have a home occupation impacting the surrounding areas. So that's kind of the same thing with signage. You want it to kind of be very discreet, similar like an address sign.
That's pretty much what I needed to know. Anybody have anything else?
Yeah. So, Coalinga has touted itself for being the most business-friendly city in California. However, that may not be true for all businesses. Home businesses are not treated the same as brick and mortars in the normal fashion. They have a different footprint. They're usually in residential neighborhoods located next to other houses with parking that is mainly on city streets. One could argue that home businesses have some of the most restrictive policies when it comes to business in the city, by nature. So understanding that home businesses have different mitigating factors than that of your commercially zoned businesses, there are more things to think about when we're talking about addressing the regulations. However, it's been years since these have been updated. How long has this home occupation sign ordinance since it's been looked at?
It's been reviewed. It's reviewed periodically. It was originally approved back in 2013 with the comprehensive zoning code update.
So I think since then, we've had some technology changes where we have a large group of people that are now working out of their house. Like a huge amount of people that have decided that, hey, you know, whether it was the COVID thing that hit that made people work at home, or maybe it was the new technology with Zoom and the new type of telephone systems that you can have now that ring wherever you are. But technology's changed. People nationwide have changed. The increase from work from home has increased. One major problem in our town that I see is that we have a lack of available and affordable retail space. It's almost impossible. I don't even know how you could start a business. I owned multiple businesses in this town, and every one of them, and currently every person that I talk to that says that their business was not successful, the number one thing is the price of rent. They can't afford it. We have the plaza over there, right? Good luck. I think the rent last time I looked for one little spot was $2,200. With our population, you're not going to make any money. Not at that. And the downtown area, I think last time I looked, it was over 1,000. I think it was like 1,200 for a little bitty space, maybe even more. That's undoable. So then across the street, Ron's Barbershop, I believe it was a $970, $980. And then a couple other places, but nothing was cheaper than almost $1,000 in this town. So my thought on this is that if we could do some research to find out what we could do to make sure that we keep control of the mitigating factors of not having heavy amounts of signs and heavy traffic at people's houses, but at the same time being able to be more business friendly towards those home occupations and see what we couldn't do, because a lot of the businesses start at the home and then once they're making some money, they can move to another place. But we do have a lot of restrictions. I mean, I have a home occupations license myself, and you know, I tell people don't come to my house because the permit's really restrictive, and that's okay. I don't really want people coming to my house for business anyways, because I'm one of those people that does mobile things, that utilizes new technologies and stuff. But I'm not everyone, and there's lots of people that sell things out of their house and would like to be able to have maybe a little bit bigger sign. When I went back east and I drove through the southern places, it was a very common thing to have the neighborhoods, to have houses with signs in front of their houses that, and let me tell you, they looked nice. And they had everything from law offices to all kinds of things in residential neighborhoods. And I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just saying maybe we should look into some different ideas, you know, that we could move to council and the public, and we could talk about, and we could see if, you know, maybe, you know, so basically I'm just asking if we could do some research, if the council would be okay with that, just researching, not committing to changing anything, but just researching and seeing what's out there.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, sizes, pretty much whatever they can do, figure out positions in the yard or on the house or on the property line, any of that pretty much.
Yeah, we can do research on basically kind of what's typical for home occupations. Because I mean, yeah, and when we look at signage is to attract folks. So when you go to a commercial district, you see the business, that's the signage. For home occupations, it's a little different because you're not supposed to have walk-in clientele. It's supposed to be scheduled if you have someone visit, no more traffic than what's normal for a residential district. So the signage serves a little bit different purpose. So that's why it's pretty limiting at a home occupation. Typically, a home occupation, if someone's coming to say, do you say prep taxes or provide computer repair, for instance, it's usually scheduled, right? And so all you need is an address to really get there. So advertising is really built on different platforms rather than having a sign to attract someone. So, but we can definitely do some research and see if there's been if there's other standards, other requirements that they have for home occupations. We can definitely look at that.
Well, one kind of interesting thing that I found when looking at ordinances is that the ordinance for signs for real estate agents is a little bit different than everybody else. So normal people, I can't just go and put a sign on Main Street even if my sign's not at my house. But interestingly enough, certain real estate agents, there's ways that they can put signs out there. You know, so I'm not even just talking about like at your house. Like, let's say you wanted to put a sign in some place that wasn't your major business, but you wanted to get people to be able to see your stuff. And I know we have lots of land that are not for sale, that they have real estate signs there. And so, you know, maybe we could open it up like that to allow people to be able to put a sign up. That way it's maybe not in a neighborhood, but maybe it's in, because there's lots of places that are like, hey, I have some land, I'd love to let you put a sign up. But in the city ordinance, I believe you can't because it's not your exact property and it's not your business. So maybe that's an option. I don't know. I'm just looking at ways that we can help these businesses without mitigating factors. So just an idea.
Can you also check to see if some of the home businesses, when they do that, not all of them have their rights to anything under the ground, to make sure that's not gonna affect it if they were to actually put a post or something in?
Well, that's where you start getting into requiring permits, and if we have to go through planning, then you have to have the owner sign off
Right,
on
to
it
make
to
sure we
install
don't, what
those.
I'm asking is to make sure that we don't have to. That
Well, you-
without having to do a
You
permit.
can't really do that unless you can't require, I mean, if someone puts something in the ground, unless you require a permit, we can't validate that or require an owner to sign off on an application saying that they're allowed to. So if you're leasing a building
Yeah.
and you want to put a new sign up on your building for a business, the owner has to sign off on the application, or the tenant, or who the representative is.
So pretty much the same if it were put in the ground. If it
Yeah.
was a rental
So-
or
But
anything
that would
like
require some type of permit or something for someone to submit.
Well, at least we can look at it, and at least we can, you know, at least the public knows that we're trying to, you know, help whatever, however we can.
Okay, any other questions? None? Okay, we'll move on to the next item, announcements. Any city managers' announcements?
I have none.
Council members? Any announcements or reports?
I'd just like, thank you to Sean for those signs, on, what's that street? On,
Oh, Hayes Street?
8th Street.
Yeah.
Everybody's liking that. It's nice and bright.
Good.
I stood there about an hour and everybody's using them nicely. So, no accidents. That's a good thing.
Great.
And, don't forget, tomorrow, Kalinga football plays, Wheatley. And, hopefully you guys could go out there and check them out. It's a very exciting team to go watch. We're here. We're at home, first home.
Okay, I have a couple quick announcements. The first one is we will not be having our meeting on Thursday, the 21st of this month. The council will be out of town at a conference, so we won't be having that meeting. The next item I got is this flag right here. This was presented to the city of Kalinga yesterday. And this is what the certificate says. The flag of the United States of America. This is to certify that the accompanying flag was flown over the United States Capitol on April 4th, 2023. At the request of Honorable John S. Duarte, Member of Congress, the flag was flown for the city of Kalinga themselves. And it was given to us yesterday, and it will be up and hung by Monday morning. We're gonna put it over the PD until we figure out how we can get it set up right over City Hall. Because the flag is actually twice the size of the flags that we have now. So it's quite big. And I think that's all I have. Are there any future agenda items?
So I'd just like to reaffirm an item that I have sent in on paper, but for the public's, since I didn't make it a public deal, is that I want to reaffirm that all businesses are essential and that any kind of masking policy will be optional in the effect that we have some kind of COVID type of lockdowns, and that the city of Coalinga would send letters to the surrounding agencies and cities requesting that that we show our support in being against any type of mandatory type of lockdowns or masking, and that way we can keep our businesses essential and open. And that's it.
To add to that, we should have that information to the citizens within the next week to week and a half, roughly. I have a request, and it'd probably be for the water plant out there. Is there any way we can get information on what chemicals were actually tested? And what our levels were? Because I know there's been some talks of different chemicals that some of the other cities are starting to see, and I just want to make sure that we're still okay.
Yeah, we do monthly reports, so I can talk with the chief plant operator and get a report and then kind of give just an overview of the treatment process and what we're seeing. Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, and I have no others. We have no items for closed session. With that being said, our next meeting will be October 5th at 6 p.m. Meeting adjourned.